IDF Fact Sheet 17/2021. Cheese and varieties. Part I. What is cheese? Scientific excellence. Industry applicability. Strategic networking. Global influence. www.phil-idf.org. February 2021. Series Summary. Cheese is a ripened or unripened product made by coagulation of the proteins in milk through the action of rennet or another coagulant. Dehydration, often fermentation by lactic acid. Bacteria, lab, and salt addition during cheese manufacture increase its shelf life. Cheese contains the main milk protein casein, milk fat, the mineral calcium phosphate, about 36 to 43%, water, lactic acid and 1.5% salt for a hard cheese. Coagulum cutting size, curd heating conditions and pressing influence moisture content and texture. Often ripening by enzymes from milk, rennet, lab and partly ripening microorganisms occurs to develop flavor and texture. What is cheese? Cheese is believed to have been discovered about 8,000 years ago in the area of modern-day Iraq when milk was stored in the stomach of a ruminant animal by nomads, and agitated and heated during daily travel, thus clotting the milk and separating out the cheese curds from the whey. The oldest archaeological evidence of cheese-making is from 7,000-year-old fragments of pottery dotted with tiny holes found in central Poland. 1-2. Cheese is defined as a ripened or unripened product made by coagulation of the proteins in milk, skimmed or partly skimmed milk, cream, whey cream or buttermilk, or a combination of these liquid streams, and with a concentration of the proteins from the source material. 2. The manufacture involves dehydration and often fermentation, both of which have the ultimate goal of increasing the shelf life of milk. A soft cheese curd is obtained, Figure 1, by coagulation of the milk proteins through the action of rennet or another suitable coagulating agent, and by partially draining the whey after milk coagulation through the action of lactic acid bacteria. Lab, that may be added as starter cultures. The lactose in the cheese curd is fermented to its constituent sugars, galactose and glucose, and ultimately to lactic acid to reduce the pH from 6.7 of the original milk to a value typically from 4.5 to 6.0, depending upon the cheese variety. Some cheeses, for example Peña or Queso Blanco, are not fermented with cultures. Finer curd cutting, higher curd warming temperatures, and higher curd pressures expel more liquid whey from the cheese curds and decrease the water content of the final cheese. Figure 1. IDF Fact Sheet February 2021 www.phil-idf.org. Figure. What does cheese contain? Cheese contains the main milk protein casein, milk fat, the mineral calcium phosphate, as well as a small portion of lactose, whey, and other microconstituents, such as salt. Whey proteins. The remainder of the lactose and some of the soluble minerals are found in the liquid whey. The composition of full-fat hard cheeses is around 25–30% protein, 30–35% fat, and the remainder being mostly water. Softer cheeses contain higher amounts of water and /or fat. Endogenous milk minerals make up around 1% of the cheese weight, the most predominant of which is calcium phosphate. Cheese also contains added sodium chloride, the amount of which varies considerably depending upon the variety of cheese, and which can exceed the calcium phosphate concentration. Figure 1. Typical cheese manufacturing process. The example given is for a brined cheese. Process steps in dotted lines are optional, depending upon the variety. Green boxes are process steps, raw materials, intermediate and final products are without color. IDF Fact Sheet February 2021 www.phil-idf.org. Cheese typically contains only milk, usually a bacterial culture to ferment lactose, a clotting agent, calcium chloride, if pasteurized milk is used, to aid in the milk casein gelation, and salt to limit growth of pathogenic bacteria and to selectively promote growth of secondary starter cultures and flavor development. Raw or pasteurized bovine milk is used to make most cheese varieties, with buffalo, goat, and sheep milk to a lesser extent. The traditional clotting agent is calf rennet containing the enzyme chymosin. However, rennet substitutes of fungal origin, Rhizomucormia, Arpucillus and Cryphonectria parasitica, plant origin, for example from the thistle, Cinera cardunculus, or fermentation-produced chymosin from Escherichia coli, Cluiveromyces lactis or Aspergillus niger with the inserted gene to express chymosin, are also used. The latter represents 70 to 80% of the world rennet market. 3. Lactic acid bacterial starter cultures ferment lactose, and impact upon texture and flavor development during cheese ripening. Secondary non-starter cultures are either adventitious or are added selectively to aid in development of flavor. Salt can be added in dry form to milled or stirred cheese curd particles, such as commonly practiced in the manufacture of cheeses such as cheddar or Monterey Jack, respectively. For many other cheeses, the entire cheese is immersed in a brine solution typically containing 10-25% W/W sodium chloride. What is cheese-making process? Fresh cheeses, such as cottage cheese or high-moisture mozzarella, are ready for consumption a few days after manufacture. Ripened cheeses are typically stored from 3 weeks. For example, Camembert, up to 3 years, for example Parmigiano Reggiano, or longer develop their flavor through the specific ripening methods, and are effectively lactose-free in most ripened cheese varieties. 4. The breakdown of proteins to peptides and further to amino acids and flavor-active compounds is one of the main ripening mechanisms. Controlled lipolysis is also a major contributor to flavor, for example in Feta, Emmentaler, Parmigiano Reggiano and North American Romano. The metabolism of milk indigenous citrate also contributes to flavor and small eyes holes in many cheeses, such as Edam and Gouda. Milk is clotted to reduce the moisture content in the manufacture of cheese, and for other groups of cheeses, this is done without rennet by milk acidification to around pH 4.6 using starter cultures, for example quark, cottage cheese, mineral acids, for example hydrochloric acid, or organic acids, for example lactic acid, or by combined heating acidification of milk, panna, queso blanco, or a milk whey mixture, ricotta, which additionally coagulates the whey proteins. Microfiltration and ultrafiltration are membrane filtration techniques that can also be used to increase the solids, protein and fat portion of milk, thus decreasing water content prior to cheese manufacture. This is a useful method to standardize the protein-to-fat ratio in milk prior to cheese making, to remove some of the serum, water phase, directly from milk, or to remove some of the lactose to control the pH of the cheese after fermentation. Major classes of cheeses. Cheese can be classified into different groups based on the type of milk, heat treatment, the coagulation type, curd preparation, the water content, fat content, or the method and extent of ripening. This results in countless varieties of cheeses. For more information, read IDF Fact Sheet 18/2021, Cheese and Varieties Part 2, Cheese Styles. IDF Fact Sheet February 2021 www.phil-idf.org. Acknowledgements. The fact sheet was prepared by Walter Beisig and David W. Everett and written under the supervision of the IDF Standing Committee on Dairy Science and Technology. References. 1. Curry, A. The Milk Revolution. Nature, 2013. 500, 20-22. 2. Kindstedt, P.S. The History of Cheese. In P. Papademos and T. Bintsis, eds, Global Cheese Making Technology, Cheese Quality and Characteristics, 2018. pp. 3-19, John Wiley and Sons. Limited, Chichester, UK. 3. Codex Alimentarius, Food and Agriculture Organization, World Health Organization. General Standard for Cheese, 1973, revised, 1999. Amended, 2006, 2008, 2010, 2013. 2018. CXS 283-1978. 4. Fox, P.F., Guinea, T.P., Kogan, T.M., and McSweeney, P.L.H. Fundamentals of Cheese. Science, 2017. Vol. 2, Springer. 5. Gill, D., Walther, B., Badischer, R., Boshart, O., Brugger, C., Brulhart, M., Gorch, R. Nuth, P., Vergeres, G., and Egger, L. Detection of lactose in products with low lactose content. 2018. International Dairy Journal, 83:7-19.